Freeology Friday. I'm Derrick Day, and he is.
I'm Aaron Tomlinson.
And boy, oh boy, this, you know, I know you guys missed us last week. I was on the road and I was going to do it, but Aaron was like, be safe, focus on the road and all of that stuff, even though Ducey was driving, but that's another story. But we're back and we're bigger, longer, and uncut. And on that note, Aaron, I'm going to leave it up to you to set up the topic for tonight.
All right. So I don't know. I was just thinking about this the last week. Unfortunate window into my brain. But I just got to thinking about how obsessed the Old Testament is with foreskins.
Yep.
Which I trust everybody in the audience knows what I'm talking about. But there's a couple stories. Yeah, there's a couple stories that really get me. I'll just bring up the first one. The first one is David. This is what got me thinking about it. So David, David was kind of obsessed with the foreskin as well. You know, he goes out to fight the Philistine Goliath, and who is this uncircumcised Philistine to come against me? And then he wants to marry King Saul's daughter. So the king says the bridal price will be 100 Philistine foreskins. And I started thinking about, our friend Kyle Butler talks about when you humanize the stories in the Bible. And I guess for a guy, there's nothing more humanizing than adult circumcision for sure.
Yeah.
So this dude goes out, David, he goes out, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, how's this happen? Like, does he just kind of grab people? Like, do they just raid people? They kill old men while they're sleeping? Do they, attack young boys as they're coming home from school? I know they didn't go to school back then, but you get what I'm saying. And then cuts off their foreskins. Like, were they dead or alive? Were some of them dead? Were some of them alive? And like, who did that? Like, whose job was that? Like, I remember one time, when my first job as a lifeguard, and somebody took a dump in the pool, right? So there's a turd at the bottom of the pool. It sunk.
Oh, boy.
And so somebody had to retrieve that thing. Of course, I was low man on the totem pole, right? And I can either proudly or not proudly say I totally refused to do that. So the manager actually ended up having to do it. But needless to say, I wasn't, that relationship went south. But like, you're the guy that has to get the turd at the bottom of the pool. Like, are you the guy that gets to cut the foreskin off the Philistine, And not only does this guy, David, in the strength of the Lord, bring back 100 foreskins, but he throws a bag of 200 foreskins.
He doubled down.
Here you go, Saul. Yeah. And it says, the interesting thing in the scripture there, it says he brought them in full number, which means some motherfucker had to count that shit, right?
Yeah.
And then how does the daughter feel about her bridal price? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot there that you could run with. But just thinking about it and thinking, damn, this guy was really obsessed with foreskins and penises.
Yeah. When you get right down to it, God is all about the dick. God is into the dick in a big way. And this is funny, right? Because I wanted to find out, like, remember when we were preaching the law first mention, right?
Yeah.
And so law first mention is like the very first time you talk about circumcision and foreskin, they both happen in Genesis 17:11. And it says, you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. So there are a couple of things here, right? A couple of things to unpack, or a couple of things to unfurl, or, to expose here. That
lots of double entendres here.
Yeah, we're going to be full of it today, man. But yeah, so it's like, first of all, God creates man, and everything is good. And he says, well, let me take a rib out so that he can have a helpmeet, right? somebody to use the dick with, right?
Right. Exactly.
He gave him the dick, but I had to give him somebody to use it with, right? Otherwise, walking around like a spider monkey, right? Right? but anyway, everything is cool up until Abraham, right? And he says, okay, you're going to circumcise first. The first circumcision is Abe circumcising himself. Okay, so I'm like, okay, did Abe get high? Did he get drunk? Was there any lidocaine or anything or did he just go raw dog and just go at it, right?
I don't know if I'd perform that surgery drunk or high.
Look, I wouldn't. I couldn't perform that surgery anyway, and honestly, I don't, man. I got a story to tell, but I'll get to that in a minute. But so here we have Abraham saying that this is going to be a token, right? So going forward, all of the men of the Hebrews, right? The Hebrews, the word Hebrew means from the other side of the Eber River,
right?
Right. So it's like, okay, so everybody from that side of the river has the tip of the dicks cut off. How do you know this? This is one of these things like, okay, and I was thinking about this, like, you mentioned David and Goliath, and it's like, they said Goliath was this big, 9-10 foot tall guy, that weighed about 600 pounds. And he has so many other attributes that David could call on. I'm going to cut this big motherfucker down, or I'm going to cut this giant down, or I'm going to cut this big headed guy. He says, no, this uncircumcised thing. Wait a second, Dave, how did you know? How did you know? Was he just walking around with his schlong hanging out? How did you know? There are so many questions here. But the thing is that Abraham God says, cut off the foreskin. Right. And this is the beginning of Yahweh's obsession with the penis, because this became a thing. And it's funny, like there's a qualification for the priesthood, right? It says that if you're missing one of your nuts, that you can't be a priest. Who's gonna know? Who has the job of checking the priest's sack to make sure it's full? Who has that? And then whether or not somebody is circumcised or not, who has that QA job, that QC job, right? Okay, raise it up. Let me look. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. You're a little tipped out here. You're a little bit longer than normal. Who gets that job? Like you were saying, like and here's the other thing too. You got an assignment to get 100 foreskins, you get 200. At some point, are they holding everybody down? Are there a couple of guys assigned to every guy to hold these guys down while they go about the snipping, right? How do they do this? It's so many questions, but I wanted to go to this law first mentioned because, and here it said, this is God speaking to Abraham. And let me tell you this, first of all, Abraham's relationship with God is kind of sketchy, right? Because I'm like, is God really talking to Abe, or is Abe just having like a schizophrenic moment? Is there something going on? Does he have some mental health issues, right? Because it's like the things that Yahweh asked Abe to do is some weird shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna kick the can back to you on that.
Well, what's interesting, I thought about this too, because I figured that's where it was first mentioned. I was going to be surprised if it was somewhere else, but that was to cut the covenant with God, right?
Yeah.
Now think about this. Covenant meant, like your blood brothers, your kin.
Covenant literally means joining together.
Yeah, we're in this together.
Covenant,
right?
Which I always thought was weird.
And I get it was probably an ancient custom to shed blood and all that stuff, but why there?
Yeah.
Like, why not, scar on your hand or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so that's just the weirdest thing that
I
God would
mean,
ask
cut
Abraham.
off the tip of the pinky finger.
Yeah.
Everybody can see that, right? There's no ambiguity about that. You look down at the hand. Oh, he's missing that tip. He's a Hebrew, right?
So people try to spiritualize that and say, well, it symbolized the seed passing down from Abraham untainted by the flesh,
Okay.
as though what's underneath the foreskin is not flesh, but
Right.
that's neither here nor there. But then these motherfuckers, they pass this on to their kids, right? So, like, a covenant, the way I understood it with Abraham, was meant to be a joint partnership, right?
Wait a minute. Talk about generational trauma, but keep going.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, but it's supposed to be a joint partnership. Like, okay, I want you to prove. I mean, what is that? I want you to prove your devotion to me by cutting off your foreskin. I want you to. And you know how long it would take to recover from some shit like that?
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not like you just do that as an adult and don't get an infection or have problems. I mean, it's not like you do it Friday night.
There's a passage in the Bible where they circumcise all the men, right? They say, hey, we're going to make a covenant with you guys, so y'all have to be circumcised. And while they're circumcised, and this is the perfect time to do it, they killed them all, right? So
can you imagine your sergeant coming in or your commanding officer or whatever and saying, well, boys, for tomorrow's mission, this is what we're going to do. Because we're going to hook up with these motherfuckers over here, and that's what they want us to do. And this is the price of admission. I mean, wow.
And then, like, of course, people say, oh, it's just the tip, right? Just the tip, and we know where just the tip leads to. There's always a rabbit hole behind that. But I wanted to tell this story. When I was on the USS Nassau, we went over to going into the Mediterranean. Prior to, we were expected to be 2 weeks crossing the Atlantic, right? So a lot of guys, knowing that there's going to be all kinds of hookups in Europe and in the Middle East and all of that, so guys are like getting snipped. They're getting circumcised. But you can't, it's like one of those things, is elective surgery, so you can't take time off work. So everybody's walking around holding their junk. I mean, this was a thing. People are walking up and down the ship and they're holding their junk. And so, like, you could always pick with somebody that, that gave you a hard time. Like, you're standing in the chow line in front of them and just kind of back up inadvertently, and they're like, you son of a bitch, But it's a true story. And here's the thing: we're taught now that if you're not circumcised, and I have to say this, and this is one of the worst things I've ever done. Had all my sons circumcised. They're all circumcised, right? And why do we get them circumcised? Because we figured that they would play sports and they spend time in locker rooms. And so we didn't want anybody to be weirded out over our kids' junk. Normalizing, right? And I think about this because there are so many things that come from circumcision. I mean, it's like there are cancers that come from that. There's scarring that comes from that. There's emotional trauma, right? Because they say you do it as a baby and the baby doesn't remember it, but they do. It's like something traumatic like that. They don't forget. I mean, somebody messing with your junk, they remember that. And then it's like all of this, trying to normalize it, trying to, make what's normal. And at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, and this is another thing too, guys, let me say this, speaking of the fellows here, right? If you have a little, performance issue, right? That circumcision can be a cause of ED. It can also be a cause of premature ejaculation, because basically you're exposing nerves that would normally not be exposed. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. And if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would not do it. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the heavy part. From here on out. I'm sticking to the script, and I'm gonna.
No, it's good that you bring that up, because you have to ask yourself, why do we do that in our culture and society? And you know damn well it's because we've been beholden to the Bible for, most of our history. And otherwise, I mean, who would think of that?
Yeah.
So it's just crazy that would be the thing. And I guess what's interesting is to think about how seriously we took this stuff. And it's just crazy when you step back from the Bible. And for those of you that maybe this content's throwing you off a little bit tonight, we just decided to change things up and just talk once in a while about weird shit that's in the Bible. And one of the weirdest stories, I think this is the weirdest story. I'm gonna bring this up right now. You got Moses. Now Moses, he grew up in Pharaoh's house. So you figure he kind of grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, right?
Yeah.
And he's not a slave like his Hebrew brethren, but he feels compassion for one of his brethren, kills an Egyptian, and then he gets exiled, goes out in the wilderness, and he hangs out there for 40 years.
Yep.
Just chilling, got married, family. Life is good on the backside of the desert, right? And he talks to a burning tree, a tree that's burning. So talk about psychosis. I mean, you have to wonder about some of this stuff. He talks to the burning tree, voice comes out of the tree, and apparently it's Yahweh, right? And he says, Moses, you're my guy. You're my boy. I'm going to ride with you. You're the guy that I'm going to take into Egypt, set my people go. Their groanings have come up to me, and you're my guy. And Moses says, I'm not riding with you. You're not my boy. Like, you got the wrong person. I can't talk right. Pick Aaron, my brother. And so they have this little negotiation thing that goes on about, Aaron and the spokesperson and all this. And God says, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you that I got your back, that you throw that snake down, or you throw your serpent down, watch it turn into a snake. I'm gonna make your hand wither. Now watch what he's doing. I would imagine relationship between man and snake has always been kind of brutal, especially in that part of the world, right? Yeah. So imagine for a second what's going on in this guy Moses' mind. Like, God comes down and says, you're my motherfucker. I'm with you.
Right.
I'm gonna send you back, and to prove it, I'm gonna give you a sign. Throw that rod you've been leaning on, throw it on the ground, and that son of a bitch turns into a snake, like presumably like a cobra or something, right? Like something threatening.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe Moses is a snake handler or something. I don't know. I don't think so, because he first drew back. The Bible even says that he drew back. Like, whoa, like this should have been your first clue, Moses. Yeah. Like when God says, "I'm with you," here's a sign I'm going to give you. He gives you a poisonous snake. Okay, symbolism. He picks it up. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, second sign, God tells Moses, take your hand, stick it inside your breast pocket here. And when he pulled it out, it was leprous. Now, come on. Now, if somebody's coming, like just showing up for a fight.
Yeah.
And they say, I'm gonna be in the foxhole with you. I got your back. We're gonna do the dancing shit that they do on Cobra Kai, when they have each other's back. And just to prove it to you, I'm gonna give you a snake. I'm gonna turn that thing you've been leaning on your whole life into a snake. And if that ain't bad enough, I'm gonna give you leprosy.
So wait a second. Let me sneak in here with something real quick, because this is gonna blow your mind, right? Because when it says leprous, it says white as snow.
Okay.
Right. Now, it's like if you or me, I mean, I'm black, but I'm melanin challenged, right? If I stick my hand in my bosom and pull it out and it's white as snow, and I'm like, hey, Yahweh, nice party trick, right? But on the other hand, if I'm Moses, but I look like Wesley Snipes, and I stick my hand in and it comes out white, I'm like, you might be God.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You brought that out. But at the end of the day, like, don't you want the iron fist or something?
Hell yeah.
like, God, I'm going to empower you. Well, you just made my hand change color. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little suspicious. Right. But now, if that's not bad enough, finally they get this thing resolved. God says, Moses, you're my guy. Moses says, God, you're my God. we're going to go, take on Pharaoh. And he had to know there could be a death sentence waiting for him when he went back, right?
Mhm.
So he's on his way. He tells the family, tells his brother, they're headed to Egypt, they're about to leave Midian for Egypt. And the very next thing says this, and I want to read it exactly from the Bible here. It says, just out of the blue, you have verse 24 and 25. This is what it says. Now, at a lodging place along the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. What?
Yep.
But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched it to Moses' feet. Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me, she said. Yep. So the Lord left him alone. Now, dude.
So it's like the wife cuts off the foreskin of their son and throws it down at Moses' feet, and God says, okay, everything is cool.
Yeah. Now, if this isn't the most fucked up couple of verses in the Bible or story, I don't know what it is. Because, I'm riding with you. You're my guy. We're going into battle. I've given you a snake and a leprous or white hand. And now, and okay, I'm obeying you. We're on our way. The intent of my heart is set. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just says God showed up to kill the guy. I'm gonna take out that son of a bitch. How does that work? Make it make sense for me. Make it make sense. Yeah. And if it's not bad enough, we couldn't address this. We couldn't address this at the burning bush. You got to make me think you're my bro. You got my back. We're going to die together. We'll live and die together. We're going to ride together. And then the very next thing, you're going to kill me out of the blue. Yeah. If the snake wasn't the first time that you weren't on my side, the leprous wasn't the second time you weren't on my side, just coming right out wanting to kill me when I'm doing, we get why didn't he bring it up at the burning bush? And then how in the hell did Zipporah, who was not Jewish or Israelite, and Moses wasn't raised really Jewish or Israelite. So how in the hell did she know? I know this motherfucker Yahweh. I know what he likes. Right. I know what's gonna appease him. Come here, son. Mom got something for you. And how old's the kid? And then
Mom, are you going to cut off my neck? And Mom's like, no, just the tip.
Dude, you want to talk about childhood family trauma? You want to talk about childhood family trauma? Can you imagine? I mean, come here, son. Snip, snip, and then throwing it at Dad's feet because Dad said he talked to God in a burning tree. And how did God show up to kill him anyway? How did he show up?
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the craziest fucking things in the Bible. That funny thing. This day bothers me. Make it make sense for me, Derrick.
Wait a minute. But see, there's more, right? Why did God want to kill Moses? That's the thing that's never brought out.
Yeah.
What did Moses do to pee in God's cornflakes? But
this should have alerted all of us when we read this story. Here's this God that says, I'm going to have your back. I'm going to be with you, never leave you nor forsake you. I'll go with you. And he does these crazy things to Moses and Moses' family. How does that kid, I imagine having that kid in therapy, right? Well, when I was 8 years old, everything was going good. And then my dad came back and said he talked to a burning tree, and next thing I know, I guess God's going to kill my dad, and my mom comes and cuts off my foreskin. I guess it was the price of saving Dad's life, but we're devoted to Yahweh. I mean, how come? I mean, that right there should be a red flag to anybody reading, don't you think?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Starting from the beginning, why the foreskin? Again, why the foreskin? And this is, let me tell y'all this, right? I have 6 pages of stuff here about, and this just deals with the word foreskin and the word uncircumcised. But you can find, if you want to add circumcise or circumcision to this, the list gets longer. You have 12 pages of stuff. And here's the funny thing, right? And again, I'm going to go back to what I said at the very beginning, and this may make some people mad, but I'm going to tell you, man, there's some little dick energy going on with God. It's like his whole obsession is with private parts. Like there's another passage in Leviticus that if two men are fighting and the wife jumps in and grabs the other man's nuts, then you're supposed to cut her hand off. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've been in some fights with guys where their girlfriends or their wives were around, and never once did the girl come and grab my nuts. It never happened. And I'm like, okay, so what is the point here? And the penalty is cutting the hand off. I mean, it isn't like, she'll be banished for for 6 months. No, cut her hand off. What is the obsession with that? And I'm gonna say something else too. I gotta say this because I'm just gonna say it now. But it's like, when Jesus is going into Jerusalem, and he says, that if these, so they tell him, hey, tell your people to keep it down. And he says, if these people don't praise me, the very stones will cry out. Aaron, this is what Jesus was actually saying. Are y'all ready?
I don't think I want to know.
Are y'all ready? What Jesus was saying is that, because it didn't say there were stones around the road. Didn't talk about any. There are no other stones in context, right? But Jesus says the very stones, these very stones. He says these very stones. In other words, Jesus is like, these nuts would cry out. So even Jesus has some dick energy going on.
Right. Well, since you brought up the New Testament, let me ask you this question. So just play with me for a little bit and go back to your pastoring days. You're really committed, devoted. I need you to put on your best, channel your best past self and put on your best pastoral hat you can, right?
Well,
and I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, Pastor, I was reading in the Bible the other day and I was reading the letters of Paul, like you told me to focus on Paul's letters because that's where I can find out who I was in Christ. And he talks about this thing called the circumcision of the heart. And that we should be circumcised in heart. And so I'm just asking, Pastor, what exactly does that mean? And how do I go about circumcising my own heart? And how did I even know it wasn't circumcised before?
Well, you see, young Aaron, I would tell you that in circumcising your heart, you understand that there is a process of circumcising your junk. And you know that has to be painful because that's a sensitive part of the body. But they say by circumcising the junk that you create a sense of hygiene and cleanliness. And so if you circumcise the heart, which is a spiritual exercise, that it causes a cutting that may be painful, that may be difficult, but it's necessary. Because the head of the heart has to be exposed. Because otherwise, no woman would ever be attracted to you.
So how does that work exactly? How does one take oneself through this process?
Well, it's just like it's a cutting away, Aaron. It's like taking a knife to your own body. It's like cutting off the tip of your thumb, except you're doing it in the spirit. It's something that it has to be painful, but it's necessary because it's for good spiritual hygiene.
So just one last question, Pastor, and then I won't bother you anymore at all. But I was reading, you told me to read those passages about David and, the situation I'm facing, and maybe I could glean from it. I was reading those passages from David, and when I noticed when God picked David, it said that God does not look on the outward man, but God looks on the heart. So I guess the natural question would be, if God thinks I have to circumcise my heart, then does that make me a dick?
Well, Aaron, absolutely. It does make you a dick, because you were made in the image and likeness of Yahweh, and he's the biggest dick of them all.
I mean, make it make sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing, right? Okay, you're talking about David, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so why is it that this circumcision is so important when this is something that is not readily seen? If two men encounter each other on the street, they don't know whether each other is circumcised or not. Now, if you're in America, you can probably say it's probably a 70% probability that you're both circumcised. But that ain't always the case. And here's the thing: what does it profit? What does it profit? And so the other thing too is that I think that what happens is the circumcision of the penis is supposed to be a representation or a foreshadowing of the circumcision of the heart. That's the way I was always taught, and the way I always taught it, that this was a foreshadowing of this, because in the new covenant you had to circumcise your heart. So you had to cut away the quote unquote useless flesh. But I would submit to you that just like we're discovering now that the foreskin actually has a purpose, and that we really shouldn't excise the foreskin. So does that mean that the circumcision of the heart, that it's something that's not necessary, but it was taught because it made sense at that time? It was a good analogy at the time. But now, you know, if we find out that even our spiritual heart, that everything that we get is fully equipped, that we shouldn't get rid of anything. So why are we cutting anything out? This is the interesting thing about this, is that Christianity is always about getting rid of something.
Right.
Getting rid of something. You don't need this because God is going to step in and he's going to give you this and he's going to do that, and you don't need this anymore. But what if that's part of your factory equipment? You know, what are we actually cutting away, not only physically but spiritually? And when we cut these things away spiritually, does that render us somewhat incomplete, or does that expose us to other things? Because just like the circumcision of the penis means, like, okay, now there are diseases that you can get, right? They say uncircumcised men are almost 5 times less likely to get HIV. Almost 5 times less likely. Right? So you're cutting this thing away that could help you overcome something else.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, man, you bring up a really good point. It's one of the things that is really, I've been trying to champion, as you know, this whole idea about cutting away parts of ourselves. Like, think about that. What part of myself did I eradicate and give up that could have been necessary to my life, or even necessary to serving other people, right?
Yeah.
Showing up as my best self for the people in my life. Like, what kind of stuff did I cut away, and what kind of violence did I do to myself? Right. What kind of violence did I do to my soul? What kind of spiritual violence did I do to myself?
What kind of trauma have you left in yourself?
Yeah. And so part of, my journey for the last few years has been trying to find and pick up those missing pieces. And but yeah, man, that's such an excellent point. And really, this circumcision issue, this was this was no small thing, because it's the basis for the book of Galatians. It's the basis for the book of Romans. I mean, cut out the religious bullshit. When you read Romans, it's not Martin Luther's version of the gospel that got reinterpreted centuries later that we hear now. It was how to get the circumcised and the uncircumcised to live together in harmony. Now think about that. I mean, because like you said, it's a part you don't see, right? So you can think about this from maybe like a frame of reference of the conflict between races today, you know, like how do we get, you know, whites and blacks and Latinos to all live together in harmony and in peace? But this isn't even that. This is just my dick's cut and yours isn't, and so I don't like you, or vice versa. So the entire foundation, this is mind-blowing, the entire foundation for the book of Romans, the book of Galatians, is over this issue of circumcision. And so that's where this whole idea, Paul trying to reconcile this stuff, right? He says, well, it's not whether you're circumcised or uncircumcised in the flesh. It's whether or not you've been circumcised in the spirit. It's whether or not you've been circumcised in your heart. Well, again, that implies violence. That implies pain and bleeding. But most giving up part of your heart. Think about this. Not just circumcising a bad habit. Or circumcising, but part of your character, part of your nature, part of who you are and what makes you you. I mean, you go into the book of Proverbs and you can read all kinds of stuff from the Hebrew scriptures about and think in his heart, so is he, or water face reflects face.
Guard your heart, because what from all the issues of life flow. So okay, so you guarding your heart, but now you're getting to a point where you say, I need to cut my heart. And so if all the issues of life flow from this, am I going to inhibit the flow of life from me? I mean, that's really that's kind of deep shit.
Well, you know, it is Freeology Friday.
Well, and you know, like so. Go ahead, man.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering, we're talking about this from a men's perspective, but I just wonder how the women read those passages. Like we read those passages and reach for.
I'm glad you asked, because clearly Yahweh didn't know anything about a vagina.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking at it from an instructional standpoint, look, I've got pages of shit that involve the penis. And when we talk about the circumcision of the heart, we're talking about it what? From a man's standpoint. You know, we don't talk about any of this from you. That is, brother, that's the money shot. Pun intended. You know, that why is it that there's nothing in here dealing specifically with the women? Because if you talk about the circumcision of the heart, how does a woman understand that? Because she doesn't understand the circumcision of the penis, not from a literal standpoint. So how is she supposed to get this, you know, the circumcision of the heart when there's no point of reference for that?
Yeah, that's a great point too.
No, that's
you know,
I'm just rocking with that.
I mean, the whole thing is weird, right? But this is the foundation. This is the foundation. This goes down to the foundational covenant of Abraham. Like, I'm sure people think, you know, we're just talking about silly stuff here, but at the end of the day, just getting away from the Bible and coming back and looking at it, this is the foundation of the covenant with Abraham. And the entire story of Israel was about circumcision. And God, like I said, God's going to kill Moses, his boy, you know, the guy that would become the chief head of all of Judaism, right?
Yeah.
And God's going to come kill him. And it doesn't give a reason, but his wife deduces, oh yeah, we never did this. And she takes care of it real quick to spare his life. I mean, that makes no sense. And then most of the New Testament, aside from the Gospels, like I said before, I'm going to keep saying, is to reconcile how the circumcised and uncircumcised can live together, whether or not Gentiles to convert have to get circumcised, right?
Yeah.
And you got this whole church in Jerusalem that's bent out of shape, going batshit crazy because you guys are coming in and worshiping Yeshua, but yet you're not circumcised. Like the fixation on circumcision, as you said, the fixation on the dick and all of this, it's the foundation of everything in the Bible. And
but here's the thing. Let's go back to the beginning, right? In the beginning, God created man in his image and his likeness, right? So what happened there? What is it that God saw? Because see, here's the thing. God knows the end from the beginning, right? That's what we're taught, that God knows everything, right? So you mean to say that God equipped us with something that he said that we didn't need later on? And it's so funny. I gotta bring up a little analogy, right? There's this big thing going on right now because BMW is selling people subscriptions to shit that's already installed on their cars, right? Like seat heaters. If you didn't pay for the seat heaters when you bought the car, then you can subscribe to the seat heaters for $18 a month. Now I'm like, I'm like, okay, wait a second. This is something that's built into the car, but you're telling me that I cannot use it unless I pay you a monthly fee?
oh
and
my,
that's a bellwether, man. That's a test that every automaker is watching, because they're waiting to see. So again, here we have this foreskin that we're created with, and then all of a sudden, God says, okay, I need you to do this instead of that. And so basically we're paying a subscription to the destruction of our foreskin. And that's really insane.
yeah, absolutely, completely. Oh my goodness. What a thing we got into tonight, huh?
Oh, but here's the thing. It's like,
Well, wait, you talk about God's foreshadowing. Sorry to cut you off, Derrick.
Go ahead, man.
You talk about God's ability to know the end from the beginning, and the foreshadowing of circumcision is circumcision of the heart. Couldn't God have come up with a lot better foreshadowing than?
Absolutely.
I mean, like, can you think of anything? Yeah. Anyway, I'm beating a dead horse at this point.
No, well, it better to be beating a dead horse than something else while you're on a live stream. Right?
True. Yeah, like that guy from CNN.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah, live from CNN. Yicky 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 yicky. Oh man!
If you didn't know that 2020 was a crazy year back then, that should have tipped you off.
This is so funny, right? There was years ago in the 70s, I'm old enough to remember this. There was a commercial for Mercury cars, right? And the Mercury Grand Marquis, they show this thing where an Orthodox Jewish jeweler was cutting diamonds in this car while it was moving, and that was supposed to be a testament to the ride quality. Well, Saturday Night Live did a spoof on that, and they were like doing circumcisions in the backseat of the Mercury Grand. They say the Mercury Grand Marquis rides so smooth that the rabbi is able to accurately circumcise the baby, and then he pulls the baby up.
Dude, what about that job too? Like being the rabbi, and having to do that to all the little boys in your community.
Oh my God! But have you seen, like, there's one sect of Judaism where when they do the circumcision, the rabbi has to actually suck the penis. He has to actually suck the blood of the penis. Yes, this is actually a thing. It is actually a thing. So it's like, basically,
that's creepy.
Your kid is already being mutilated, and then on top of that, they get their first sexual abuse or their first blowjob by the rabbi. I mean, it's really insane. It's really insane. But again, this is like, okay, two things. Number one, right? You have to question, and again, I've got 6 pages of shit here, right? And this is not all inclusive. This is just a subset, right? But okay, what kind of God is obsessed with your genitalia? And this spills over into Orthodox Christianity or evangelical Christianity, where there is this obsession with the genitals, right? Like, first of all, like David Hayward, Naked Pastor, did this comic, and he's got these two people sitting at a table, and he says since I've become an evangelical Christian, I'm just really obsessed with genitalia, right? And that's one thing. And then he did another one that was like a flow chart, and it was supposed to be about women in ministry, but it's really hilarious. It says, how to find out if you're whether or not you can be a pastor, right? And it says, question 1 on the flow chart: do you pastor with your genitals? And if yes, then no, you should not be a pastor. And no, then absolutely, you should be a pastor, right? And that this whole obsession with specifically with the male genitalia, because again, it's like the woman, if they're looking for some biblical reference on how to handle their lady parts, it ain't there. It ain't there. Now, there's a whole lot here about how we men should, circumcise ourselves, how we should, handle that part of our body, and things that we can and can't do. Like, for example, if we are if a man is a eunuch, or if he's missing a testicle, he can't be a priest, right? All these different things, and I'm like, okay, who bears the responsibility of checking this? I mean, come on, who's the guy?
Here's I'm going to come back with this, because I can hear some people arguing, yeah, but it's an ancient book and it was an ancient culture and it was the ancient Middle East. Listen, the Bhagavad Gita is an ancient book. What's the
Quran is less ancient, but it's ancient.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think about things that even predate that, like the Vedas.
The Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita.
The Tao Te Ching, that's the one I'm trying to think of. I mean, these are all ancient writings, and they don't have this crazy shit in them. That's one of the things when I started doing comparative religious studies and stuff like that. It's like, why do we get strapped in the West with the crazy shit?
I mean, it isn't just the West. I think the West misinterpreted or maybe hyperinterpreted it, right? But this is like basically all out of the Middle East. And here's the funny thing: I found one in here that it was talking about Ishmael. Hang on, let me find Ishmael, because he's in here. Genesis 17:25. It says, and Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. But Islam doesn't require circumcision. So at some point between Ishmael and Muhammad, something changed. And matter of fact, I won't even say between Ishmael and Muhammad, but let's say Ishmael and Goliath, because see, the Philistines were supposed to be the descendants of Ishmael. So at some point they decided, well, you know what, this circumcision thing.
Maybe it's after David came and collected 200 of their foreskins.
It may be. Maybe after David got 200 foreskins, they said, okay, this foreskin thing is not really a thing.
Oh, well, maybe we should. Do we bravely look at the comments and see what?
Yeah, why not? Let's go and have a look. This should be fun.
I'm just thinking Mel Brooks would have had fun with something like this back in the day, huh?
Oh my God, I wish we could get Mel Brooks on the show. That would be a riot. I mean, just to talk about the whole Judeo-Christian thing, because Mel Brooks got it. He got it. I mean, if you watch his movies, he got it.
See, Jared Martin says, we know people are wicked because they don't cut their dicks. Got it. Yahweh, I mean cult leader. So that's a question. We know people are wicked because they don't cut their dicks.
Yeah. I like this. Karma Matata said, God is a sick dick.
Ben commenting about your comment about BMW selling you something you don't need sounds awfully religious.
See, Daniel Wheeler says, I watch you guys all the time, but rarely am I able to catch you live. But I love what you do. Keep on keeping on.
Nice.
Oh, Bishop Jamel Broadnax, my dude. He said God is fascinated with penises. Well, that's what I've been saying from the start. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, from the beginning, from Genesis chapter 17 forward, God is obsessed with the penis and what you do with the penis. And it's funny, there is no guidance as to what to do with the vagina. There's just nothing. I mean, you can look and look and look and look and look, and it's not there. Except for when a woman is menstruating, she has to be outside the camp.
Right.
Aside from that, there's no guidance. And fellas, I dare any of you to try to put your wife outside the house when that time of the month, especially during that time of the month. You will be lucky if you have any dick left after that.
Yeah, I was just thinking God created the red tent more for the men than for the women.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very patriarchal, obviously.
And Jamel Broadnax says, dick makes God happy. You know, and here's the thing. Let me say this. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Nothing wrong with being gay. But I'm going to tell you something. I believe that if God exists, God is gay or he's bisexual. I mean, clearly.
He's obsessed.
And Jamel says again, don't touch God's dick. That was the message of the story. All dicks belong to God.
Ben Urban says theology is trouser snake handling. Trouser snake handling. My God.
Ben, my dude. And then Ben also says stones are a euphemism for testicles, and yes, that is correct. Like I said, when Jesus said these very stones would cry out, I believe that Jesus he grabbed his junk and he said, you know, if these people don't praise me, these nuts will do it. Let's see who else is here. Somebody named Winchke Karlskov says, what the fuck is this? Been watching for less than 5 minutes. I stand with Derrick. Leaving now. Better things to do. Because you must give time to the opposing view. And then Jared Martin, this is key. He says, you mean mutilation of the heart.
Yeah.
Because circumcision is mutilation. That dude. I actually saw that when he said that, and I almost had to stop right there. And C. Rodriguez, she says, the reason why they don't say anything about women is because they don't even know where the clitoris is.
Well, I'm sure there's more of us out there than more guys out there have the same problem.
There are a few of us out there, Aaron. There are a few of us out there, but you know, like, but when you think about it, right, the way Christianity even handles sex, it's like sex outside of procreation is a dirty thing. Yeah. So why would you be, you know, concerned with pleasure in any way?
I always thought it was fascinating that only God gave women a part of their body that was completely devoted to sexual pleasure. Had no other purpose.
That's crazy.
I guess that's the only way babies.
And Jared Martin says, We know people are wicked because they don't cut their dicks. Got it, Yahweh. I mean, cult leader.
Yeah.
Oh, Victor Reynolds says, or should that be genitalia, chapter 17?
Oh, I didn't catch that. I didn't see that one. That's a good one.
That's so. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna throw the link out here
Yeah.
and see if anybody wants to join
Chime in
in.
on tonight's topic.
Yep.
A little bit different for us, a little bit more lighthearted, pun intended. Get it? Lighthearted, lighter.
It is. It is lighthearted.
Circumcised heart, lighter heart.
If you're circumcised, if your heart is circumcised, your heart is lighter than it would normally be because part of it's cut away, right? So
it's a bad pun.
Hang on for a second. Let me post it.
I really want to know why Moses didn't just tell Yahweh to fuck off.
and that's a funny thing, like, okay, here's the thing. There's so many things that we have to, there's so many leaps of logic that we have to take when reading scripture. Talking snakes, talking bushes, talking donkeys. You have to, there's a whole lot that you have to just kind of accept. And I'm just like, it's amazing to me how people just, they kind of accept it. So I put the links out here in case anybody wants to join in. Jamel Broadnecks, I'm talking to you, buddy. You could join in.
Still watching.
Yeah, unless you went off and poured yourself a tall one.
It's Friday night. I've got a feeling he's got a couple tall ones in his future, probably.
Hey, I wouldn't blame him.
Knowing him.
I wouldn't blame him. I mean, like I'm doing the scotch, and I've knocked out a pretty good portion of it while we were on this live stream.
I finished my White Russian. So.
Oh man, you're my hero.
So if you put tequila in it, because I thought, well, what do they? This is going to sound terrible. Please forgive me. What do they call? Because White Russian is Kahlua, milk or cream, and
rum,
vodka, right?
Oh, vodka. Yeah, that's right. Vodka.
So they take the Russian, because Kahlua is Mexican, right?
Yep.
So the White Russian, the Russian wins out. The vodka wins out on the Kahlua. So I wondered, what happens if you put tequila in it? Then do they call that a white Mexican? Is that a Mexican Russian? What wouldn't be Russian because you took the vodka out, but white Mexican, I thought that just doesn't feel right. That sounds like that might not be quite politically correct or something. So I looked it up. If you put tequila in it instead of vodka, it is called the white paralyzer.
The white paralyzer.
White paralyzer. So
okay.
Go figure. If you get a bartender that knows what they're doing, you can ask for the white paralyzer.
And he'll know exactly what to do.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put some a little bit of chili powder in that too. I thought that might be a nice.
I thought Broadnecks was showing up. That was Jared calling out for him. Yeah, chili powder, man. It's like one of the things that I love is margaritas with chili powder on them.
Yeah, me too.
That
and I like chocolate with like chili combination too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going to try this with some chili powder, and I forgot, man. I got to rushing around and forgot. So I'll have to try that after, and I'll report back next week and let you guys know if it was any good.
Cool. Yeah, one of the things that we need. Oh, Ben is looking for the restream link. Let me see. Boom. Hey, Ben, if Ben is seeing it or not, but go ahead and. We me fuck with Broadnex real quick.
Victor Reynolds says the White Paralyzer. It sounds like a comic book character.
Like Homelander.
I don't know if that'd be good anyway. Mixing Kahlua and tequila. I don't know with cream. May not be very good. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen. How does any cocktail get made?
Yeah.
Somebody experiments with it.
Well, shall we call it?
It looks like nobody is. Oh, Tommy Payne says your next co-host is here. Well, fuck it, Tommy. Join in. Click the link. This Tommy is always bugging me about being a co-host. So fuck it, Tommy. Join in.
Trying to replace me, huh, Tommy? Trying to replace me.
Oh man, or he might be trying to replace me.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Okay, so wait a minute, hold on. We have Ben and Jamel in the green room.
Oh, this will be epic.
Oh boy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Looks like
Here. Oh, I'm cussing in front of the children. Oh.
It's all right. Okay, all right.
I kind of think that probably goes on there a little bit.
Real quick.
Anyway.
Okay. Come in.
All right, you know what, Joel, I'm going to give it to you real quick because you were a man after my own heart.
I want to hear the bishop's take on this topic.
Well, for a few moments, I'm actually at a conference that I'm speaking at tonight, and I just happened to turn the video back on, and I just blasted out real loud, and then I happened to see Jared's comment saying, "Like, wait a minute, what's going on?" So, what did I miss? Hold on.
Well,
I've been gone for like 15 minutes.
We just want to get your take on foreskins, man.
Yeah, man.
My take is close your ears, baby. Don't listen to this. My daughter's walking in here. Well, God is a dick, and because he's fascinated with
He's
dicks.
the dick of dicks, right?
He's the dick of dicks. Yes, baby.
Yes,
What?
brother.
He's the dick of dicks and the lord of dicks.
What kind of conference are you speaking at? First of all,
It's a what is this called? What's this conference called? Awakening to Consciousness. Conscious is a
okay.
conscious.
Just checking.
Center.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Maybe you're returning to your old gig, get some money on the side or something.
Yeah, because I don't think any Christians are inviting you to anything.
No, I don't think they are. Hey, how are you? Oh, I'm very. You looking for the conference? Okay, straight down the hall, all the way down, and then to the left. Welcome.
I was so tempted to.
Oh, dude, that is fucking classic. Oh my god, that is
supposed
classic.
to be so.
I will never forget this moment.
He's changing location.
Be careful. See, I'm trying to be careful because
No, you got you. That was not the moment to say dick.
some pastors. There's supposed to be some pastors coming tonight that and I don't want to run them away, just like that. It all makes sense to me. I think everything you're saying makes perfect sense because God in the sky, and because God is the big dick in the sky, it makes sense why he's fascinated with. So so the stories I missed a lot, but the one story about the woman that touched the dick. Okay, and the Bible says all souls are mine, saith the Lord. That means all dicks belong to him too. Saying is, don't touch my dick. All dicks belong to me. Okay, so it all makes sense. It all makes sense to me.
Thank you for making it make sense, brother.
Yeah.
I'm enlightened.
You
Dude,
know,
this is a moment right here.
It
You're at
is.
a conference. You got people. You're directing them to the conference. You're talking about dicks and foreskins out of one side of your mouth. And, oh, yes, sir. Oh, you looking for the conference?
You're looking for the conference? Oh,
Dude, that is
third dick to the left.
that is so fucking
Yeah, I think that Yahweh projected his own love for the dick on King James.
Yeah.
And that's why there's all that
Yeah.
self-hatred business going on.
Indeed. But you know, it's funny. You guys may have, but honestly, I was recently, probably this year at least, I was thinking about that. It seems like whatever's going on with this Bible, whatever's going on with it, well, at least a lot of the things, like in the first 5, especially like Leviticus and Exodus, Leviticus, especially around there, Deuteronomy. It seems like whoever was inspired, it seems like they depicted this Yahweh, all of these gods, the Elohim, all of them. It seems like they were for real, a fascination with male private parts. Thought about that, trying to figure out what is this fascination. Seriously, fascination private parts. You know?
Yeah.
dude. But how does it even translate?
I mean,
to
what about?
the 21st century?
Say it again.
How does it even translate to the 21st century? I mean, let's just suppose there was some ancient reason that scholars can come up with about the ancient culture, but why are we still buying into this shit today?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I
really don't get it.
What is your take on that?
Oh God.
Ben, what's your take on that, man?
On what?
How is
this relevant in the 21st century?
It's not, Derrick. It's not. It just doesn't.
But again, here's my thing, right? Because if God is an equal opportunity God, then surely God has had something to say about the vagina, and there isn't. There's nothing. There's nothing about the maintenance of the vagina, the cleanliness of the vagina, the purpose of the vagina. They don't even mention the vagina in childbearing.
Well, you know what the best part of that?
God does not like vaginas.
You know what the
He doesn't like them at all.
best part though of all that is?
Right.
The biggest irony. The biggest irony is this. The omniscient God who created women he doesn't even know what the clitoris is or where to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, how is that working? What luck do
How you doing?
any of us have, right?
Hey, I don't know if y'all saw one of my memes today, right? But I posted this that I bet you won't share this picture of Jesus, right? And so it's got like this Jesus with a giant cock.
Jesus after hours.
My mom is rolling over in her grave right now. I just got to tell you guys, my mom is rolling over in her grave.
Listen, both of my grandmothers are rolling over in their graves right now.
Mine too.
Oh my God.
They're like, baby, you know.
I know. If they're all right and I'm not totally fucked and I step into glory, first thing I'm going to hear about is tonight. First thing, Mama, is going to be tonight. And I'm going to blame all y'all. I'm going to do what Adam did in the garden. I'm going to blame shift. I ain't taking ownership of none of this shit. This is not my fault.
Jeanette says that's because the vagina is secret.
Vagina is secret. Or
yeah, like
sacred,
Victoria's secret.
Does she mean sacred or secret? She said
secret, like top secret.
Okay. Well,
But,
I have
wait a
not.
second. Hold
Never
on.
mind.
We know
Never mind.
God knows what to do with a vagina because he got Mary pregnant. We know God knows. We know that God knows. You know how the women say that's not it. That's not it. Apparently, God at least knows where it is, right?
Well, this is the thing.
There it is.
No one takes the time to listen to Asherah's side of it. She might have been the one that stepped out because Yahweh just wasn't taking care of business. And she needed more. And so he turned the story around and made her sound like the.
I think that's why Lilith got pushed out of the picture. Because
sorry,
Lilith was like, okay, if you ain't gonna please me, just shut up.
I lost it here.
Yeah, Lilith was like, I'm gonna be on top. I want to be on top.
What happened?
And I'm sure Adam was like, that's fine with me.
I can't hear you guys.
Yeah, I know. He didn't mind being usurped.
Did some bullshit. And there went Adam's.
All right, buddy.
Child.
Show your picture.
What, guys? And then God said, "Thou shalt not reverse cowgirl, for that is an abomination before the Lord."
Yeah, and Adam's like, "Hey, where'd she go? Why'd you take her?" So no wonder God needed to find a helper suitable for Adam.
Yeah, because see, here's the thing, right? If you go back and look at the scripture, it says that God created the male and female, right? He created the male and female. But when it came time to form, it was like, okay, now I need to take a rib. But he had created them. So what happened between create and form? That's a really good question. And I think that Lilith understood the value of the vagina. And she was like, okay, I'm definitely being undervalued here. Let me make my exit.
I don't know, Derrick. Maybe she wasn't being undervalued. Maybe God just took her out. Maybe Adam was walking around. No wonder what Adam was looking at lustfully at those animals. There was nothing left. He'd already had some of the good stuff. Well, I mean, that's what the Bible says. It says that God took Adam to all the animals to find a helper suitable for him.
so okay, Adam.
The Bible starts out with bestiality. I mean,
it's clear that you and camels is not working out.
But how does he know that? How does he know they're not working out? Is it because they're not reproducing?
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe it just looked awkward.
Well,
I want to take a moment. I want to take a moment to be grateful for the fact that I can say out loud without threats of death that the Bible is bullshit.
Hell
yeah! We can do that in our day.
Can't hear you, Bishop. I can see you talking, see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, man. I think you may be muted.
The host of the conference just showed up and said it's your time to preach.
Oh, no,
you probably heard me too.
Okay, can you hear me now?
He's back.
Yeah,
I know maybe it's your time to go speak to the crowd.
No. Okay.
Ben, your wife said, God said, "Thou shalt not reverse cowgirl."
Did you say that?
Oh my God!
I rebuke that.
In the name of, I rebuke that too.
So look,
This video is going to.
here's what I think. You know what I really think? What if the Sumerian stories and all of these and all of, what if what they were, and I'm being serious now, what if they were just true and not whether it really happened, but maybe the stories were really about this alien kind, and that for a reason, like supposedly the Elohim were these some people translate it this way, these Elohim, these many gods, this blah blah blah, whatever. But the reason I brought that up as it relates to
dick talk we're doing right, because it seems like that particular God was very, if you wanted to make him mad, then touch a dick, okay, like the woman, you touch it, all right, whatever. You didn't remember, he didn't like damaged testicles to come into the
You
temple.
couldn't go in the temple. You kept
Yep.
coming in here. Poor guy.
No damaged tests. But think about it. And then let's piece what was his name? Not Onan.
Onan.
Who
Yeah.
who God killed him. Why? He killed him, spilled his seed on the ground. All right.
You know,
What does
He
all
was
of that?
trouser snake.
How does all of that connect?
Onan was the first person to do the money shot. He was the first person.
Yes.
His pullout game was tough.
His pullout game was strong. God didn't like that. But let's piece that all together, okay? So you got a man spilling his seed on the ground. You got a woman hidden. What does all of these things, what problems can all of these things? Why are you But listen to me. Hear me out. All these things.
I'm trying.
What do all these things have in common, okay? Reduce the likelihood of the man producing children. All of these things are pissed. I think these stories could have been about this earth had. They wanted to populate the earth, okay? And he was, and this got pissed off anytime you mess with his dicks, because it reduces Ben is making me laugh. It reduced his earth project.
I'm making you laugh, Bishop.
He couldn't populate his earth project. I'm just saying.
So you going all the way back to the Anunnaki. So that's
To the Anunnaki. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
That'd be a fun show to do.
I believe that
they were not accurate, not properly populating the earth. So the Anunnaki said, "Okay, I got to lay some rules down about how you guys are using your dicks."
We should do that sometime. We should do a show on the Anunnaki. That would be cool. Come on and
Oh man, hell yeah!
chop it up about that.
Would love it.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Would love it. We'll talk about that a lot publicly, but I study it quite a bit. But I don't talk about it
as much publicly as probably I should. But the reality is that if you go back to all of the Sumerian stories about gods and how all of this came to be, and then when you juxtapose that with the Bible, it's like basically the Bible is the Bible is sort of the Cliff Notes of the Anunnaki and the Sumerian epics.
It really is.
You guys should do an episode on the epic of penis flesh.
What?
But here's the thing. I think that we've probably gone about as deep in the dicks as we could probably go right now.
Oh my
y'all
God.
like that pun?
I think I'll let Ben. I think let you and Derrick do that one next time. I need a night off. How's that sound?
All right, Aaron.
But we could definitely do something on the Anunnaki, and I know Jamel, I know you've got some input into that I think would actually really enlighten the whole program. So we definitely need to have you on when we do that.
Sure, we'd love it.
You just got to promise that's like right before a conference.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can work that out.
Yeah, you gotta be sitting in the lobby.
You got to know what's in my mind.
You
You got to know I'm going old school on you, man. I mean, I'm seeing you up there preaching away.
Oh
Bishop
boy.
stuff and big offerings. I can see it.
I just hope I don't get up there tonight and talk about that. Hope it doesn't
I know.
accidentally come out,
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth flows, right?
Right.
From the penis to the lips.
Oh, wait a
There
minute.
you go with the penis and the
Derrick,
lip
I
thing
wasn't
again.
ready.
Is that some innuendo?
I know, right?
From God's lips to our penis, or from our penis to God's lips, or I don't know how you frame that.
I guess it depends on who created who, right? I don't know.
The most blasphemous show I've ever been part of. Bar
The
none.
most blasphemous.
Are going to
Yeah,
absolutely put their lids.
Yeah,
I would see all of you in hell.
I know.
Listen, man, I say I'm going to hell in every religion.
If there was
So
still hope out there for me, it is long. I mean, this pushed me over the edge. I was teetering on the depths of hell like a spider, like a squirmy little spider that's being held over the campfire. I'm teetering over the fires of hell, and you three motherfuckers just came and gave me one big shove.
hold on for a second. Hold on. I just got to say something here. Ben, your wife is just really going in on this, right?
I know.
What is
She always is.
saying?
Where's Beth right now? Get
said,
Beth on the camera.
God shall.
But if I go first, you all have a front row seat with me.
This is a train wreck.
You know what though, Ben? I think that you're going to have a good evening.
Oh, she's trying to hide. She can dish it out, but she can't take it. Okay.
Oh my God.
Who said if there was no women, I would that?
Well, that was Tommy Payne, and I sent Tommy. I sent the link to you. You could join in. You could have actually said that on camera. Because he said if there were no women, he said I would fuck sheep. He said, "Oh my God, was that out loud?"
Be like,
Oh, boy.
now
Oh
behold the lamb.
Hold the lamb by the head.
Victor Reynolds just said, "Thy rod and thy staff take on a whole new meaning."
Listen, hold on, listen. I'm gonna tell you something. For years, that was one that stuck with me. Thy rod and thy staff. Oh, they comfort me.
And you had to say "stuck with me" too. You couldn't pick a different word there.
The beauty of phallic language. It's
I tell you.
truly remarkable.
Oh, this is
Done. I'm
good
done.
for me. I'm telling you.
I'm eternal rotisserie chicken.
But Beth says, God shall not
turning
be
over and over in those fires, roasting one side
She
after
said
the
God-
other for all eternity.
You're a little troublemaker, aren't you?
Yeah, Beth said, God
started
shall
more
not
trouble.
deep throat. God shall not doggy style. Hold on, wait a minute. Are we getting to the 10 Commandments of sex here? The 10 Commandments of the day.
But I heard those messages. They tell me you guys didn't, especially Derrick or Jamel. You guys had to have heard those messages, because it was coming out of, what was that movement in Florida, the big one in the 90s?
Oh yeah, the Jacksonville revival, or
Brownsville
revival.
Brownsville.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really hung up on that, like who was doing what to whom, and how you were doing it in the bedroom. Stephen Hill, or one of them, wrote a whole chapter in his book on how to bring revival, and said if you want to bring revival, return to missionary style only. Like that's
Is that Josh McDowell's new book?
In his book.
Listen,
Really?
You know what?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you something. The whole Brownsville revival fucked Todd Bentley up. Because
Yes.
that's when Todd Bentley started getting his freak on.
Sure did.
Well, they were telling you missionary only.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That would bring. It was supposed to be face to face, and that would bring the glory of God into the situation.
Yeah,
a whole chapter on their book, like his version of Leonard Ravenhill's "Why Revival Tarries."
Hang on, I think Reverse Cowgirl would bring the glory of God in, because that's face to face.
Hallelujah.
I'm just saying.
Peace be with you.
Well,
And also
that's
with you.
for me, because I'm single again, and I'm actually getting a little depressed. Let's stop talking about this.
Yeah, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the Anunnaki again. Our brother's got to preach.
Yeah, he's
Right.
got to keep his mind together so that he can bring the word of God.
What?
I just been channeling.
I ain't preaching about that dick. Not at all.
You're just out in the woods channeling your divine energy. Be getting ready for the.
And the Lord looked upon Mary and saw that she was fair.
Oh my God! Don't go there.
And he said, "Thy
Derrick,
rod
don't
and
do
thy
it.
staff will comfort thee."
Don't do it. Don't do it.
He's heading out to the woods to get the female perspective. He's got the goddess out there, so
Don't
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
there you go.
What you
Oh
said,
my
buddy?
God! Oh my God!
What?
This is going to get me in trouble. This is going to be this has to be illegal.
You know what? I'm going to tell you
I'm
something,
sure
man.
it
There are lightning strikes coming to all 4 locations here. I'm just saying. Well, you're outside, so you're going to be the one that gets it first.
Well, I've been waiting for that bolt of lightning for a long time, and I'm more worried about Mark Zuckerberg than I am about that dick in the sky.
Let us all bow down to the great big dick in the sky.
Well, no comment. I'm not saying. Oh God.
Hey, Ben, your kids are going to be the most popular kids in school when they start.
Oh my God! I'm going to hell. I'm definitely going to hell now for sure. I'm going to hell. I'm going to burn forever. No repentance.
Man, I already said, man, I'm going to hell in every religion, so I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said before, if I get there first, guys, I'm saving you guys front row seats with me. So.
Oh my God! What does it say here? It is impossible. Oh no, not Hosea. Hold on, sorry.
See, Rodriguez
guys,
says, "Forgive them, for they know not what to do."
I have enjoyed this time. I'm going to go ahead and log off and get back in here in case they're calling. I'll talk to you guys later. Look forward to doing this again.
All right. Hey, love you, brother. Thanks for
man.
joining in.
Yes. Okay.
Later.
I don't know how to get off of here. Oh, I see. Okay.
Just turn it all the way down, just in case. Just like
Listen, all I got to do is just slide this toggle switch and you'll be gone.
Bye-bye. Oh. Hi.
Oh my God! On that note,
yeah, I think we can go ahead and sign out, Aaron. You can do the traditional sign out for Freeology.
I think I'll pass that on to our guest host here.
All right. Peace and hair grease.
There you go, man. You got it. All right. So on that note, we're out.